more effective than traditional types of therapy because it's a little bit different. Not every type, traditional types of therapy, it's not a practice, it's not so much a you go home, take this home and practice it on a daily basis. It's a very much one-on-one, more, not that they're bad, I think it's wonderful, cognitive therapy is wonderful, but it's just different. It's an alternative way to help a client. So it's thinking a little bit more creatively about your clients and what might be a little bit more beneficial. So I'm sorry, do you have a question or comment?
Oh yeah, when you're doing it in a group setting, you circle around?
Yeah, so typically it would be a circle. I'm sure it really would depend, but yeah, it would be in a circle. And from a lot of what I read, it's really no more than 12. Victoria read some other articles that said they can be as large as 30. So, you know, I think it's really up to you to decide that max. But I would, you know, a lot of what I read from Teasdale specifically, he said groups no larger than 12. Circle setting, and so you really just kind of feel out what are the goals, what is everybody trying to gain from this, and then from there, that really helps guide the educational time of the training. So moving us on to why should we even teach this? Why should we teach this to our clients? Why does it matter? And I think it just kind of goes back to what we've already stated, because it teaches them that at the time that relapse can happen, to recognize that they're about to enter a self-perpetuating ruminative negative thought. And then it allows them to disengage from those thought patterns. So why should we teach these to our clients? Because it helps them, one, not only be aware of themselves, but be aware, I'm about to do what I don't want to do anymore. I'm about to get into that depressive state again. And it helps them stop, learn how to stop, and learn how to do something about it differently than what they have been doing. So we're learning to move from one way of thinking to another, which is difficult to do. And so this gives them that cue to do that. It allows them to process those thoughts in a way that's much more productive, that prevents relapse. Another definition of mindfulness by Siegel is that it's a kind of focused attention that allows us to see the internal workings of our minds, and it helps us to be aware of our mental processes without being swept away by them. So I think this definition is very key as far as like kind of looking back at why we should teach this, because it helps us to take a look at the insides of ourselves without being swept away by everything, which I think is a lot of times with recurrent depression, that is what happens. You're swept away by the internal workings of your mind. And this helps you to take that captive and stop in your tracks and rework them in a more productive way so that you can keep functioning in life. Move on to the next. So we'll just quickly look at some, there's tons of benefits, but I'm just going to touch on a couple too. 44% of chronically depressed patients are less prone to relapse because of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. That's a pretty, significant statistic, and that was shown, I believe, by Teasdale in the research that was conducted. Also, mindfulness, taking the time to be mindful, actually can help change the rewiring and architecture of our brains. The simple practice, the simple technique of taking the time to be mindful, we can help retrain our minds. We can help get rid of, break down those bad habits, and retrain our mind to think differently, which I think is pretty powerful. Simply by practicing mindfulness, we're literally rewiring our minds to think differently. So that's just some of the benefits that I want to touch on. I'll read that quote. We have a quote here by Dr. Qasim Al-Mashant, and he's actually, who Victoria was mentioning earlier, he did a TED Talk, and he went to Southeast Asia for 6 months and lives in a monastery. And so he gives this presentation on mindfulness, and he says, if we don't retrain the brain, it can cause added pain. The training can begin with mindfulness meditation. It's not a quick fix with magical results, nor will it make us immune to the challenges of life. But imagine if half of us created a daily meditation pattern to be more present in life, the good and the bad, to offer more compassion and feel more moments of compassion and happiness, and to let that bloom more naturally from a state of mind that's more peaceful. That's a recipe for a positive change, and it can start with you.
Here are just a few resources that we had for more information. I mean, obviously, you can Google if you want to find areas that are in your location, and then there's just different centers for mindfulness and mindfulness-based therapy. So really just online, there are a lot of resources, and there are a lot of organizations where this was just a taste of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, and so hopefully like whetted your appetite just enough. If you are interested, there are plenty of resources out there that we got this from. So that's pretty much, we're like out of time. Yeah, we had another video just in case you guys wanted another experience at the body scan. This is the one that put me to sleep. But so for those of you who don't sleep, if you don't have time before the next session. No. But yeah, did you guys have any questions or any comments?
I have one question. Out of the 60 minutes, you say it was a 60-minute session that you're having with a group of clients, out of how many of those minutes would they actually be in mindfulness, like without talking, maybe sitting and being present with themselves, and then how much time would you be examining kind of those feelings that they talked
Yeah,
about?
I honestly, in a lot of the research, it didn't really go specific as far as like how they break it down.
Right.
So I think it's really just
Kind of whatever
it's
the group
kind of whatever
feels.
the group feels.
Yeah. That
so
makes sense.
Again, it's very much based on what are the goals of your clients.
Okay.
And so gauging how you're going to lead that session and what you're going to take them through based on their needs and based on their expectations.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a normal, if there was a breakdown of that. But
No, there's not like it's not super, it's not like a super structured
it feels
group
kind of
setting.
feely therapy.
It
Like
is.
whatever the flow is, you're going to go with it, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I think that's fantastic. To
Yeah.
find alternative forms of therapy that are very accommodating to a broad sense of individuals.
Sure.
So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you guys could give an example, or what's the difference between an aware comment of yourself and a judgmental. I think I'm wrestling between the two. What's judge? So that way I'll be able to identify when I'm being judgmental.
You want to take that, or I can?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been wrestling with that personally, just as I've like tried meditation and different things, and I mean, I'm really not an expert in any way on it, but I think you can feel a difference almost. Just like you said, like there's this heaviness that comes with judgment, and there's also this like you almost want to combat it. Like the second it comes, you're like, what am I doing? And it's almost like this self-attack and this, I think it's a lot more like you're ruminating on it, is sort of an indicator of that type of just awareness. Like where awareness is there, but it can it's fleeting. It's very like present, and then you can let it go because it doesn't hold anything very meaningful to you. It is meaningful and it's significant, but you're very aware and you're able to just say, okay, that came and that went, and like that's the past now, it's no longer in the present. Where judgment is a lot harder to let it go and to sort of release or relinquish control over it. And I think there is this just heaviness and this tenseness that comes with it, especially when you're just sitting and being, or even in your daily life as you're experiencing like negative things that pop up. It's just our natural, like we fall back into it. And so I was like, I don't even know if I've ever actually experienced awareness. If I've said, I'm mad right now, okay. Like, I don't know.
And I think the key is rumination. Like there's a difference between, I'm mad, okay, like we'll deal with it, like it's okay, versus I'm mad, I'm a terrible person, I'm mad, they're a terrible person. You just ruminate on this. This is
a progression.
It's a progression that keeps you stuck, basically.
It's a conscious
detachment.
Yeah.
You gotta be separating yourself outside of who you
Yeah.
are. Like you're stuck in the mud, that's rumination. Getting out of the mud.
Mhm.
And just the mindfulness. In the mud, it's hard to have.
Mhm.
I like that stuff in the mind.
Yeah. I don't know if that helps.
No, it does.
Okay.
Were there any other questions?
Or comments?
How do you measure mindfulness?
Do you measure mindfulness?
I'll let you
Beginning
pick
of
up.
the first week of the AP, how do you?
Yeah. Well, something that I researched was using the rumination reduction questionnaire. So that's something that I've done research on, and so specifically looking at rumination levels. That's a good tool to use, and it's Trapnell and Campbell who created it. I don't know if there's something to write on, but Trapnell Campbell, it's the rumination and reduction questionnaire, and there's 2 parts of it, so you can measure rumination in different ways. So there definitely is a part of this is pre and post kind of treatment. Before coming in, what are the rumination levels look like? After coming in, what are the rumination levels look like? And some of this too, if they're severely depressed patients, obviously, and they're maybe like it's like an outpatient type of thing, they're still being monitored and supervised by those clinicians. So there is also that part of it too, that this can go, very, very deep. But yeah, so to quickly answer your question. Yeah.
In terms of thinking of the scientist practitioner model, I really appreciated the way that you guys set up the activity, 3 minutes, very feasible. As you progress through your practicum and internship, I'm wondering if this is something that you'll be implementing maybe with clients or running a group to test it or just to see if it's there for you with your own clients.
I know for myself, I'm definitely I can see this as something that I continue to research and become more familiar with. And seeing how I can apply it
I also
within
think
my own practice.
it depends on your clientele. Like I'm doing a lot of work with adolescents and children, and who are very reactive and very aggressive, and I'm not sure that they would necessarily be able or equipped and disciplined enough in order to sit and train their mind. I think there's a lot more crisis that needs to be done at the moment than actually long-term help. And so I think it would depend, and this is definitely more of a therapy for adults or even young adults, but still older and people who are able to be consciously aware of what they're thinking and fully adult enough. So it would be interesting. I haven't worked with a population that could actually implement this yet and is mature enough.
Was there something else? Were you gonna say something else?
I mean, you just identify population PTSD.
Oh, yeah.
First responders. People that gone through certain traumatic experiences. That
Yeah.
use that, getting out of that, stuck in the mud.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for